Tears are rolling down the cheeks of one Trevor Sinclair. You can probably hardly get your words out for emotion this morning. Trevor, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. Listen, it was expected. The season Manchester City have had has been outstanding. I think there's lots of different reasons. All of them, or most of them, aim towards Pep Guardiola being a fantastic manager of men, and the way that he's adapted this squad. And I say squad because it is a squad that's achieved the success this season. And also, you have to say the director of football and what the Manchester City model is with Tixie and Brian Marwood and the exhaustive work that they've done to make sure that all the players literally that Manchester City bring into the club play a part. And you've seen that this season with players like Zinchenko coming to the fore, Gundogan and John Stones. You know, that support mechanism when players are out of form.
Yeah.
They support them, they coach them, they get them back to where they need to be. And it's been a great team effort, not just from the whole squad, but from everyone associated with the club.
Is this a speech that City have given you to read this morning? Trevor,
Steady.
Everything you've
Steady.
said is right, and I know it's heartfelt because you were on last night. I'm delighted you're with us this morning. It is City's time, that is for sure. Mr. Simon Jordan, we have to pay homage to this man Pep Guardiola, do we not, and what he achieves?
Of course.
I mean, quite unbelievable. You would have loved him as a manager, would you not?
Yeah, if
He's
I
just
had
a boy.
if I had a
Here we go.
checkbook that I could write checks out with, unconditionally. Listen, Man City have won the league, fantastic. They've done a double, fantastic. They may even do the treble, which is unbelievable. But there is also, the flip side to that argument. It's one of the lowest points totals in the last 5 or 6 years that have won the league. It's been an average Premier League. Liverpool fallen away. So I think you have to give credit where Man City deserve it because they've been outstanding at times. Their performance level in the last 6 months has been beyond exceptional. But, all right, let's get some context as well. They've won the Premier League, fantastic. 3 times out of 4 is unbelievable. The guy's come over here being one of the highest paid coaches in the world, being given one of the biggest checkbooks, and he's done the job that he was paid to do.
You keep on mentioning
Now win the Champions
checkbooks.
League.
I mean,
Now win
is
the
that
Champions
really
League.
fair this morning after what they've done? And
Well, it's no more fairer than it was last week when we bought the checkbook out from the modern day fairy tale. And we compared those fairy tales when we talked about Pinocchio for the FFP
I think I've just touched on one of the reasons why Manchester City have been successful. All the top clubs have spent money. They've all bought players in. But with Manchester City, the director of football, the work that they put in, the due diligence, the intel that they put into their recruitment, they don't buy duds. The players that they buy end up producing and playing games for the club. Other clubs buy players that come in, not hit, get rid of him. There's a difference. If the player isn't as good as what Manchester City thought, they've got the best coach there that's prepared to put the work into the player and make him a success at the club.
Do you know what Trevor's just said? They don't buy duds.
No.
I mean, you've got to pay respect to that, Simon. I mean, your time at Palace, you bought a few turkeys.
Sure, absolutely. But look at the comparison and contrast and say who are we comparing and contrasting that analogy to? You could turn around and say that Liverpool don't buy duds as well. You could turn around and say £8 million for a fullback. Andy Robertson is compelling rather than £50 million for Kyle Walker.
If you're saying that about Liverpool, why is it then that when they have an injury to their captain, I think, not even captain, their best player, Virgil van Dijk, that they've not got players in that squad that can go in and do a job for Liverpool? Because their squad is not been well recruited.
When you look at
that's a very good point. Look at what City have done without Aguero as well.
Without making a case for Liverpool, not because I'm not particularly invested in it, but when you lose Virgil van Dijk, then you lose Matip, then you lose Gomez, you're moving into territory of really exceptional circumstances. If you took, when Man City lost Vincent Kompany, they were at sea defensively for a period of time. They managed to bridge that gap by bringing in Ruben Diaz. John Stones has been sitting there for 4 years waiting to happen. Eventually, he was going to happen if you give him enough opportunities.
He's not been waiting for 4 years, has he, Simon? He's been playing. He's had maybe a year off where he's not been at the same standards that he's set for himself.
I think
it's just exaggerating.
I think unilaterally people accept that the performance this season from John Stones, 4 years into his career at Man City, has reached a level now which is acceptable. So go back to what I just said. It's taken 4 years for him to get to a standard.
Because when he first came into the football club, he was exceptional until he picked up an injury. That's where the problem started for John Stones, and then he struggled to get back to them levels. And then you have a confidence crisis. He's still a young man. These are normal things that happen with players. But if you don't continue to support that player and have the right coaches in place that can support them players and get them to another level,
that's probably right.
And then obviously the stimulus is bringing Ruben Diaz in, who was a great acquisition in the summer. He's come in and he's been probably the most important
I'm not
player
sure.
at Manchester
I think
City.
John Stones was an inordinate amount of potential That's what Man City bought. They bought a player with great potential that looked very comfortable on the ball, but had a rick in his game. And he still has that rick in his game.
I'm not so sure.
What he's got now is he's got some really good cover alongside him. Kyle Walker stepped up defensively, and Ruben Diaz has added that extra bit of support and gives him that extra bit of support that he hasn't had.
And Zinchenko has been at the football club a long time, who's had to show great mentality to get himself anywhere near the Manchester City team.
Of course you do. But
you can't take anything away from that.
You also have to be objective. Trevor's not objective. He has one thing in his mind, which is Man City are right on every single front.
Of course it's not.
And you have to be balanced. And I'm trying to be balanced by saying it's brilliant, but it's also, to some extent, what you paid for and what you expect to get. If you get the world's best coach with the innate ability to be able to sign players left, right and centre, all of them at 50 million quid, then you're going to give yourself a chance. Now, that doesn't mean that that's a guaranteed formula for success, but it's a bloody good start.
It's a good start, and actually it's been fantastic. I think Manchester City, since they've been bought by the Abu Dhabi Group, have been great for the Premier League, because you look at the last 6 seasons, there's been 4 teams that have won the Premier League. 2 first-timers, one being Liverpool, which you would expect to win it at some stage,
after
and
30
Leicester.
years, yeah.
But also the 13 years prior to the Abu Dhabi team the Abu Dhabi Group coming in, Manchester United had it wrapped up. There was only a couple of other winners, which were Arsenal and Abramovich when he came in to Chelsea.
And obviously Leicester. Yeah.
So, the 13 years before.
Okay.
So they only had 3 winners in that time.
Sean Pegg is buying into what Simon is saying, though, Trevor, unfortunately. Love Trevor on talkSPORT, but you can't talk to him about Manchester City blue moon tinted specs. Trevor, you've every right to have the specs on this morning. Why not, Simon? You just wind them up. I know you are.
No, I'm not. I mean, listen, I think you cannot deny the fact that Man City have been outstanding. They're about to do a treble,
of course,
potentially, and you can't deny that. But you also have to be objective.
But everybody else has spent a lot of money as well,
I'm not disputing it.
Yeah.
I'm not disputing it.
We've just
but we're not talking about everybody else, are we? We're talking about Man City.
Yeah.
And if you're going to sit there and wax lyrical without any observations about what Man City do and don't do, when you turn around and say that their buying criteria is perfect, and I'll give you an example of Andy Robertson being bought in a better way, you don't give credit to that. You'll just carry on being Man City. That's
Andy
a better
Robertson
buy.
was a great buy, a fantastic
and so
buy.
Liverpool have recruited as well as Man City. They've lost 3 centre-halves and their form's gone away. Last year, Man City didn't have a centre-half. Their form went away. It goes in cycles, but Man City have to be applauded and lauded for what is an outstanding achievement.
Of course,
if they win the Champions League.
And also, what you have to say, Simon, is when Ruben Diaz came in here, we were like, who's Ruben Diaz? Who is this guy? Who is he?
Exactly.
By God, we know who he is.
Yeah.
We know all about him now. He's a sensational player. Pep makes great players even better.
Yeah, but with respect, Jim, that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to make them worse, are you? You're not supposed to be the highest paid coach in the world with the biggest checkbook and say, well, actually, I'm going to make players worse. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay. And we're applauding people for doing what they're supposed to do.
Okay. We're obviously streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. A lot of the people on YouTube, but I'm informed, I'm looking at it now. Oh, yeah. A lot of them are calling you very bitter this morning, Simon Jordan.
What
Give credit where it's due. City deserve all the credit without any unconditional credit they deserve.
But bitterness, Palace were never going to win the league. So the only team I care about is Palace. So why in God's name would I be bitter?
The only team you care about is Palace, and you're accusing Trevor of a lack of objectivity.
Yeah, but I'm objective about it.
My God, I'm the only objective one in the studio, and there's 3 of us.
But I sit here and I'm objective about other teams' performances, including Palace's. I'll give Palace loads of criticism. Under my tenure, other people's tenure. That's called a balanced point of view. I just don't sit there with red and blue stripes on my glasses.
I was talking to Darren Ambrose last night. I must admit, he was singing your praises while he was at Palace. He had a great time at Palace, and then he says under his breath, of course, I don't think I ever met him. That's probably why, Darren.
Good chairman.
Darren, don't worry.
Leave it to the other people to do their
Darren,
jobs.
I want you in the studio with us, as I said to you last night. We'll look forward to that.